Okay, I think we will get started. Good evening, everyone. I am Angie Rogers. I am the Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for Economic Development for Prince George's County. And welcome to the first of our Blue Line Corridor meetings that are about a specific signature Blue Line Corridor project. The meeting this evening is about our Civic Plaza, which will be at the Wayne K. Curry Building. I will just say I saw a question in the Q&A that the chat is disabled. So I've texted someone on our team to work to get that resolved. The lineup for this evening is we're going to talk to you a little bit about the Civic Plaza project that is upcoming and get some feedback from you via some polling that we'll do during this meeting, but also hopefully have a chance to engage more fluidly also during the meeting. So hopefully the team is working to get that chat function fixed. Civic Plaza at Wayne K. Curry. I'm going to start out by giving just a bit of background on sort of where this project came from and how we came to be discussing it here tonight. So some of you may know that in 2021, County Executive Angela Also Brooks set a new economic development platform for Prince George's County as a way to just guide our policy decisions, our investments in a different way, and focused on things like growing our commercial tax base, attracting new jobs, but also building affordable housing and tackling some of our food deserts in the county. And as a vehicle also for doing some significant projects that would start to add jobs, more housing, more amenities to Prince George's County. So the task that we took on was to build an economic development platform that really fit our desire to develop a walkable, bikeable, amenity-rich, and particularly transit-oriented communities in Prince George's County. So a lot of the growth that you will hear us talk about is in some of those communities inside the Beltway and around transit. We set some important goals as part of that economic development platform to become the place where the county both lives and works. So really transforming Prince George's County from being just a bedroom community to a place that also hosts significant commerce. To grow a sustainable economy by increasing our commercial tax base, to grow population, particularly in those transit-oriented development areas that have been targeted for additional growth, to build more affordable housing, create more fresh food access, and finally, to be a destination to develop more identifiable places that people would associate with Prince George's County. As part of that new platform, we also set an anchor initiative for the platform, and we call it the Blue Line Corridor. It is the corridor that runs from Capitol Heights at the Prince George's DC line all the way out to Largo Town Center, what we now know as downtown Largo, and also including Central Avenue or Maryland 214. We set the Blue Line Corridor as that anchor initiative really so that we would have an opportunity to develop a new model in Prince George's County for place-based economic development. So that, we have these neighborhoods where we could particularly focus on developing those places that are multimodal. They're, safe for both pedestrians and cyclists, that they attract new amenities that not only residents in those neighborhoods could enjoy, but amenities that are for residents across the county, and that we get a chance to build some signature projects along the Blue Line corridor that would feed the vision that we set for it. Many of you probably know by now, or hopefully you know, that we have had some early success with our Blue Line Corridor Anchor Initiative over the past, I guess, less than 2 years now. We've been able to attract $466 million in state investments for projects and improvements along the Blue Line corridor. I will say that we have spent the past couple of months doing stakeholder engagement meetings around the county, specifically about the economic development platform and the Blue Line corridor as a whole. And there's a link that's being put in the chat to a landing page that we have on the county's website. And if you go to that page, you'll be able to tune into the sessions that we've already had, which will allow you to learn about the Blue Line corridor as a whole and our economic development platform as a whole. One of the signature projects that we got funding to build is a new Civic Plaza at the Wayne K. Curry building. And that is just one of the things that we will build with that $466 million. It is the first project out of the gate, and it is the project that we are here to talk about tonight and to get feedback on. But I certainly encourage you to go to that landing page, and you can tune into the presentation, but I think we also have audio from the previous meetings and maybe some video if you're interested in learning more about the entire economic development platform and the entire Blue Line corridor plan. Tonight, we are going to talk about the Civic Plaza. So I want to get started with just a little bit of a poll so that we can see who's in the room. So we are going to put up a poll so that you can tell us whether you live in Prince George's County, whether you work in Prince George's County, if you own a business in Prince George's County, maybe you live in Maryland, but not in Prince George's County, maybe you live in DC, Virginia, or maybe you're tuning in to us from somewhere else. So we're going to put our first poll up so that we can know who is in the virtual room and give you a minute or two to answer. And please check all that apply. All right. All right, looks like we've got a good number of answers. Up, a couple still coming in. Okay. So it looks like most of the folks who are tuned in tonight live in Prince George's County. A good number of you work in Prince George's County, so that hits right on our economic development goals because we want folks who both live and work here. A good number of folks who own a business in Prince George's County. So good to see you all here tonight. And just one person who lives somewhere else. Welcome to everyone. We're going to go to a next question. Let me just ask, do I need to take the poll down, Jose, or will you? Oh, okay. Maybe it's I'm the one who needs to click out of it. All right, we're going to ask one more question. And for our open-ended questions tonight, we'll invite you to put your answers in the chat. And open-ended question, just digging in a little bit more about who is in the virtual room. If you can put in the chat, let's take a minute to put in the chat what your zip code is. We're really interested in knowing as we go through this entire process who the folks are who are tuning in to these engagement sessions and where you're from in the county.
Angie, thank you so much. And because our functionality is still somewhat limited, you can actually put your zip code in the question and answer box. It'll show up as well. You'll be able to view them in there. So if you can go ahead and start entering your zip codes in there, obviously your preference, not mandatory to do so, but we'd love to see the sampling of who's joining us today.
All right. Thank you all. And sorry about that limited chat function. Okay. Thank you all very much for that. So, as I said, we are here tonight to talk about the Civic Plaza, which will be at the Wayne K. Curry Administration Building. And hopefully many of you who've logged in have stopped by our building, whether it's for a meeting with one of us or whether it's to plug into a council hearing, or maybe you came here to go to the finance office to pay your taxes. So our Wayne K. Curry Administration Building, which is at the corner of Lotsford Road and McCormick Drive in downtown Largo, is the place where we have slated to build a new public plaza. Part of the vision for this new sort of, bikeable, walkable, amenity-rich downtown, we said to ourselves, part of this starts with us. And we can do more with the space that we have in our own civic building to begin to build that space that is ripe for residents to begin to gather, to interact in our downtown. We've talked about our economic development platform as a place where we want to focus on placemaking, to focus on building spaces that have more identifiable character, and our Civic Plaza at the Wayne K. Curry Administration Building is just the beginning of that. I've talked a little bit about our new economic development platform, but the Civic Plaza and really all of the signature projects that are part of the economic development platform, part of our anchor initiative, the Blue Line Corridor, really stem from a number of different studies and plans that have been completed in the county, some of them going back years. We recently completed a new cultural arts study for the county, and that cultural arts study, talks about the importance of public art and having our public spaces sort of tie into public art more. Plan 2035, which is our county's general plan, of course, talks a lot about areas like the downtown Largo area as places for growth and places for placemaking in the county. Similarly, our economic development strategic action plan, which was completed not too long ago, for the first time dealt with this issue of placemaking as a specific economic development strategy. So the Civic Plaza conversation, the Civic Plaza as a project is a new project for us. But the idea of having something like this is an idea that has been talked about for some time. So part of the reason for having this meeting tonight to start to get some feedback from you all is that there will be an upcoming RFP process that will focus on procuring a team to do the design for the new Civic Plaza. Our partnership on our Blue Line Corridor signature facilities is with the Maryland Stadium Authority. The Maryland Stadium Authority builds things all over the state. Some of you may be familiar with them as the builders and owners of the Orioles Stadium in Baltimore and also the Ravens Stadium. So they are a really significant entity doing work all across the state. And this is the first time that they will be doing major projects in Prince George's County in collaboration with us. So they will run the solicitation process, and that process will follow the state procurement rules. But the county has a memorandum of understanding with them that lays out the county's ability to review and comment, as well as have representation on the selection committees. MSA will be the entity running the process, though, and they will conduct the pre-proposal conferences and the site visits, and the county will participate by promoting those and making sure, particularly that our county residents, that our county businesses are in tune to what is happening. Important to all of us, and that we talk about a lot, is the goal to make sure that these new projects that we're doing in the county make significant room for minority business participation. The state's minority business goal is 31%, but of course, and 31% of that contracting that will happen on these projects. But of course, with our county priorities at play, our goal is definitely to exceed that. So let me give you just a little bit more information about the site as it exists and what we're looking for in terms of improvement before we start to get into the feedback section of the meeting. So you'll see on the map that right at the corner of Lotsford and McCormick, we've got what we refer to as the primary site. So this will be the site of the new Civic Plaza. And when we first envisioned it, we really envisioned it as, this kind of flexible urban plaza that could be programmed in a variety of ways. I'll call your attention also to what we call the secondary improvement area. So this is an area where we definitely intend to keep that as a parking area for the Wayne K. Curry building, but have, recognized that when, potentially we have bigger events that might be planned for the Civic Plaza, as a way to, also kind of entice more foot traffic, that secondary improvement area could be flexible. And while it would be parking for, most days of the week, during business hours, that it could flex for larger events in non-business hours. So let me outline for you what the categories for feedback are going to be tonight, and how we are going to flow through this meeting. What we will do is for each of these categories, we are going to show you a series of images, a series of precedent images we have pulled from, other public plazas, other public places around the country, around the world. And after each one, then we'll poll you for your feedback in those areas. At the end, when we talk about overall vision, we'll take the opportunity to ask some more open-ended questions, and then also give you all a chance to ask some of the questions that you might have. So the areas that we are going to walk through tonight will be potential uses. So what are the kinds of things, kinds of activities that you would like to see happen in our Civic Plaza? We'll go through design preferences. So when you think about whether you like something that is more open and flexible, or whether you want something that's highly programmed. We'll go through questions about that. We will go through questions about connectivity. So how can we better make sure that the Civic Plaza connects well to the things around it? And we'll look at sustainability. So, how can we better incorporate green and sustainable features into the Civic Plaza? And then finally, as I said, we'll ask some questions about kind of overall vision and what are your must-haves for this site. So with that, we are going to get started, and we are going to look at some precedent images for potential uses, and then we'll do some polling on it. Okay, so I'm going to stay on these images just for a minute so you all can take them in and think about the things that resonate with you as you look through these images. I'm going too fast. Okay. So our first poll question about potential uses. Want to ask you, what type of programming or activation would you like to see at the new Civic Plaza? And once the poll comes up, we're going to ask you to choose 3 of the following. And some of these will harken back to some of the images that you just saw. But outdoor movies, festivals, food trucks, farmers markets, live music, live theater, skating, skateboarding, fitness and wellness activities, so yoga or Zumba or hand dancing, activities for children, activities for seniors. So we're going to put the poll up and ask you to choose 3 of the things that you would most like to see. As we're finishing up the voting, if you finished voting, please feel free to also start to put questions or other comments in the Q&A section about potential uses. If there is something that you'd like to see that you didn't see on the list, or if there is a question that you have, and as we get to the end of this, then we'll start to go back to those questions and try to provide some feedback. All right, we're going to take a couple more seconds for folks to put their answers in. No one likes skateboarding, huh? All right. Thank you. So lots of responses for fitness activities, for live music, for festivals. So thank you for that. We are going to move on to the next polling question about potential uses. And that question is, what type of public space amenities would you like to see at the new public plaza? So there's sort of activities that might be going on, but this question is more so about maybe when the space isn't activated with a festival. What types of amenities in general would you like to see? Outdoor seating, public art, pet care stations, walking or trail connections, puzzles, games, or chess tables, relaxation space or space for reflection, portable public bathrooms, Wi-Fi access, charging stations, and retail kiosks. So I'm going to ask Jose to put up the poll, and we want you to choose 3 of those things that you would most like to see. Right. We'll take a few more seconds for everyone to get their choices in. I see a question in the Q&A about the age demographics of the focus group. Jose will tell me if this is true or not, but I don't know if we can add that question while we have the webinar going on, but we can do a post webinar survey where we can reach back out to participants and ask that question. Okay. All right, looks like we have got lots of weigh-in for walking trail connections, for outdoor seating, public art, relaxation space. So those are some great answers. Okay. And let me just, there were a couple of other things in the chat before we move off of potential uses, or I'm sorry, in the Q&A that folks are asking about. Will wellness activities include cultural arts programs? That's certainly our anticipation. I will say that our anticipation is that we will ultimately have an operator for this plaza who would be responsible for programming it and bringing in those kinds of activities that residents want to see and that visitors want to see. And I see the comment from Jay about a farmer's market and having that permanent vending structure for the farmer's market. So thank you for that. Okay. Now we are going to move on to our next section, which is about design preferences. And this is where we ask you to think about sort of the layout of the site. And if, you know, you would prefer something that is you know, sort of open, that's not activated all the time, something that's more activated, something that's flexible. So these next precedent images that we will show you are designed to show you how different public plazas are set up and designed so that you can think about what your preferences might be in terms of overall design for this Civic Plaza. So again, I'm gonna scroll through them, spend a couple of seconds on each so that you can take it in, and then we'll get to some of the poll questions. Okay, so let's get to some of the questions about design preferences. And I think we've got 3 different design preferences questions that are lined up. On this first one, we're going to ask you to pick just one option, and we want to know what elements are important to you in the design of the site at the new Civic Plaza. Do you prefer something that is passive space, meaning it's unprogrammed? Or do you prefer something that is more activated? You have specific, it's programmed, you have spaces that are meant for specific things. Or do you prefer flexible space, meaning most of the time or many times it might serve as passive space, but then can be activated with special events. So I'm going to have Jose put up the poll and we're going to ask you to choose only one of those answers. All right. Everybody likes the flexible space. We all like options. So we'll take another, oh, we got one person who likes passive space. All right. So we'll take another just couple of seconds to make sure everybody can get their answers in. Okay. And again, if you all have other comments about this topic that you don't see reflected in the questions, please put them in the Q&A. I see very enthusiastic in the Q&A endorsement for Splash Park. Very good. Okay. So we're going to go to the next question regarding design preferences. And that question is, what elements are important to you in the design of the site at the new Civic Plaza? And here again, we're going to allow you to choose 3 of the following options. Rotating public art installations, permanent public art installations, movable furniture, fixtures, furnishings, and surfaces that double as public art, fitness or recreation equipment, and fixtures, furnishings, and surfaces that can double as fitness or recreation equipment. So I'm going to ask Jose to put up the poll. And you can choose 3 of these. Okay, we'll take just a couple more seconds for everybody to get their answers in. Lots of answers for rotating public art installations. I love it. Just check the Q&A. I see someone's asked, you may have missed the beginning, but is this going to be located near the Wayne K. Curry building? This is going to be at the Wayne K. Curry building. Okay. All right, and I think we have one more design question for you. And that last question is, what design features are important to you in the design of the site at the new Civic Plaza? And you can choose up to 3 of the following. Is it accessibility to the site, specifically for people with disabilities, how they get onto the site, ADA compliant seating, shaded areas or some kind of tree canopy, lighting, landscaping, and a water feature. And I know from the Q&A who's gonna choose water feature. Jose, can you put up the poll? Okay, just a couple more seconds for folks to get their answers in. Okay, lots of votes for shaded areas and tree canopy, which we know is really important these days. So thank you for that. And I'll take a look at the um Q&A. See a question about where would the art be sourced from? I'll say one of our partners um with the Blue Line Corridor plan, but our economic development plan in general is the Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council, which does that kind of work all over the county. And we'll talk a little bit about next steps. I see some questions that really get to next steps. We'll talk about some of those at the end. Okay. The next topic that we're going to look at images for and get questions about is connectivity. So how this site starts to connect with the area around it, how folks can flow into and out of the Civic Plaza and into other areas of the downtown. Connectivity can also be about connecting to information. And so we'll look at a couple of different precedent images related to connectivity, how some other sites have done it. You see with the image that we have here on the first slide as, folks moving sort of in and out of this plaza and into other spaces. And so these are the things that we want to think about before we get into the questions about connectivity. And again, we'll spend a few seconds on each precedent image, and then we will go into some of the poll questions. Okay, so our first question regarding connectivity is, how do you envision the new Civic Plaza best connecting to the rest of downtown Largo? And I want you to choose two of the following answers. Two of the following. Focusing on roadway improvements that would enhance pedestrian and cyclist safety, a connected arts walk, dedicated walking and bike paths, additional access points to the site, so additional crosswalks or curb cuts, and then accessibility for people with disabilities. So how do you envision best connecting the Civic Plaza? Which of these strategies would best connect the Civic Plaza to the rest of downtown Largo? Jose will put up the survey. We'll take just a couple more seconds for you to put your answers in. Okay, definitely lots of strategy, people wanting to see a strategy where we have roadway improvements that enhance multimodal safety, walking bike paths, additional access points. So thank you for that. I think we have one more question about connectivity. And that question is, what connectivity features are most important to you for the new Civic Plaza? And I want you this time to just choose one of the following. Is it, again, accessibility for people with disabilities? Is it 24-hour access to the plaza? Is it wayfinding or directional signs to other destinations in downtown Largo? So, a sign that tells you which direction to go in to get to the hospital or to, get to a government agency. And then the last option would be for a digital public information portal at the plaza. Because this is our civic building, lots of people come to the civic building for information. But could there be a digital public information portal outside so that you don't, in the plaza, so that you don't have to go inside the building? So Jose, we'll put up the poll. Okay, we'll give just a couple more seconds for folks to choose their answer. All right. Lots of likes for the public information poll, sure. Okay. Okay. Next to the last topic, we are going to tackle, which is sustainability. And there are starting to be lots of great examples across the country for use of more sustainable materials for these kinds of plazas as we all start to think more about this. And so I'm going to show you a series of images, and I might talk a little bit through these images because sometimes it's with the sustainability topic, I find it might be more helpful to kind of explain what's going on in these images so that then when we put the poll questions up, you can think more fully about what options you want to see. And so, this is a plaza that was designed with materials where, the net result is that it's a carbon positive plaza. So the materials that they're using for seating, the material that they're using for the paving, you see the green spaces that they have incorporated here. They've made this a carbon positive design. This is a resilience hub in Miami-Dade County. It's actually an information hub, but it's information obviously presented in an attractive and engaging way. Miami-Dade County has been setting up these resilience hubs across their county in order to spread information to residents about how to cope in extreme weather events and where they can go for resources. And so these hubs provide information about that, but in an engaging way. The Google offices, this example is obviously here because of all of the plantings that they have done outside of their building that are part of their resilience strategy for their headquarters. And we put here just some pictures of rain gardens and bioswales, which are, different strategies for controlling runoff, particularly in major storm events, for controlling the flow of water. And so rain gardens and bioswales can be incorporated into many different kinds of spaces. And so we've included it as an option here. So let's get to our first sustainability question. And the question is, in what ways would you like to see green or sustainable features incorporated into the new Civic Plaza? And you're going to get to choose 3 of the following: recycle bins, the use of alternative materials like breathable concrete, cement substitutes, sustainable timber, more permeable surfaces. So not less concrete or asphalt, more permeable surfaces. Solar lighting, LED lighting, wildflowers for a bee or butterfly habitat, stormwater retention, bioswale, rain garden, or resilience hub. So I'll let Jose put up the poll. And you can choose 3 of these options. We'll take just a couple more seconds for folks to get their answers in. Okay, lots of votes for solar lighting, for alternative materials. Okay. So our last topic of the evening, we are going to talk about overall vision. And these are open-ended questions. And so we're not going to do it through the polling. We would do it through the chat, but I think chat is still disabled. So we're going to ask you to engage in Q&A to tell us some of your answers to some of these questions. And we're going to take them one by one. And the first one I want to pose for folks to put answers in the chat is there anything missing in downtown Largo that you think could be incorporated into this site? And you can, put up things that have come up in the survey already. That's okay. Or there may be things that haven't come up already, but is there anything missing in downtown Largo that could be incorporated at this site. So if folks want to start putting things into the Q&A, then we will start to talk about some of these. Great. See some things, electrical vehicle charging stations. We actually have them in the Wayne K. Curry parking lot already on 2 different sides. So come see us. Someone will correct me if they're not open to the public, but I think they are. Water features, access to the plaza via public transportation, absolutely. I hope that folks will take Metro to downtown Largo and come see us. And one of the things that we're working on as part of our Blue Line Corridor plan is also to just create a better connection between the Metro station and our Civic node over here on McCormick Boulevard. Outdoor movie screen and stage, non-chain restaurants, coffee shop stand, yes. Bike share station, we have a bike share station outside of Wayne K. Curry already. So we make sure we don't lose that. Thank you all for the answers that you're putting in the chat. Amenities for young children, yes. Shuttles for just the downtown area. That's an interesting one. I think we've been turning over with our DPW&T colleagues for a while. So that'll be an interesting one to continue to think about. Someone is saying they can't see the responses. Not sure what's going on there, but food choices, first aid. All right, that's an interesting one. Okay. So please feel free to continue to put answers in the chat for that question. We'll move on to the next one, which is that for today's discussion, what are your top 3 priorities? And your priority could be, you know, an activity you want to see, or it could be a theme, or it could be a level of engagement, or maybe you're concerned about operations. So let us know in the Q&A what your top 3 priorities are from today's discussion. Walking and biking paths, and seeing lots of connect Caraway Court to the medical center. Yes, so that is something, as I said, we are thinking about with some of the infrastructure funding we've gotten, how to better connect to where the metro station is, where the medical center is. All right, I see some answers around public art, safety and security. I see that in a couple of people's answers. More public art, sustainability. All right, keep putting those answers in. So I'm getting ahead of myself. The last question that I want to ask about overall vision is, as we think about naming and a theme for the plaza, what story would you like to have told? And You guys can take a minute to think about this. Is it a story about history? Prince George's County history, about arts and culture, notable residents, or maybe it's something else that we didn't list. But as we think about sort of what's the theme and vision for this plaza, we want to last ask you to tell us sort of what resonates with you. And as you think about that, I'm going to look at some other folks' answers to their 3 priorities. So walkability, entertainment, access, more free things to do. I see safety still coming up. Again, healthy food availability. So a couple of the answers are getting to this idea of healthy lifestyle, healthy food, fitness activities. All right. So now I'm starting to get to some answers about theme. So focus on notable residents, arts and culture, highlighting the diversity of Prince George's County. Also Brooks Plaza, we'll tell her you guys, you said that. More arts and culture, focusing on history, lots of way in here for an arts theme for this. All right, we'll give it just another minute for answers to come in. Maybe not a full minute, but just a little bit of time for more answers to come in. Can't see it. Bernadette, I think you put in there several times that you can't see any of the responses. I don't know if you're clicking on Q&A. You should be able to get just a running list. Oh, someone else is saying they're not seeing the responses either. Oh, Prince George's Plaza. Let me say I don't know why you all can't see other people's responses, but also we're going to talk about next steps next, and sort of where some of this information from this meeting will be housed. And so you'll get a chance to hopefully see what other people said in the follow-ups that we'll post. Another just weigh in for focusing on sort of highlighting the diversity of the county and its place as a inclusive place to live. Okay. So the Q&A will continue to be open until we end this meeting. And so you should feel free to continue to put comments there as we talk through just what some of the next steps are. And then I think we'll have a couple of minutes after we talk about next steps. If there are other questions or general questions that folks want to put in the chat or into the Q&A. So as I indicated in the beginning of the meeting, we are having this because Working with the Maryland Stadium Authority, we will be putting out requests for proposals to procure a designer, a design team for the new Civic Plaza. We can expect that RFP should be out within the next 30 days. But we will, of course, continue to communicate to all of our stakeholders about the exact date for the release of that RFP. The intention is that we would have a project at the Civic Plaza. The Civic Plaza project would start this year because we don't know what the design of it is yet and haven't chosen that. I don't want to or can't put something out there to say when it would be completed. But our goal is to get through an RFP process, selection of a design team, and have a project that could start this year. We are very excited to have a Blue Line Corridor project get out of the gate. For us, this is the smallest one on the list, and so we figured let's not waste any time with it. So information will continue to flow as we move through this RFP process. The other thing that we would like to do related to the Civic Plaza, and that is why we asked the question at the end there about sort of theme, is that we want to come back to you all at some point this year to talk specifically about naming. That this is a good opportunity for us to have a community-informed naming process. This is a project that is 100% public funded. It's not a project where we would be looking to kind of generate income off of naming rights like maybe we would see with some of our other projects that would be really geared toward revenue generation. And so we want to do this community informed naming process for the Civic Plaza. And so later this year, particularly as we get a design team in place, and know what we have selected, then our commitment is to come back to the community to talk about the naming for this Civic Plaza. I think this has been put in the chat a couple of times, but it's also here on this screen, mypgc.us /TOD or /TOD is the place where you can go for Blue Line Corridor updates. We will also make sure that this presentation and any follow-up we need to add gets posted to that page as well. We've committed to that page being the place that you can come back to get updated information about how our economic development platform, how our Blue Line Corridor projects are going. So with that, I'm going to go back to the chat just to see what I've missed while I've been talking, and if there are questions that I can answer in my last minutes. Someone asked, how is this particular project chosen as the initial one? So I will say our Blue Line Corridor projects There's a Civic Plaza. There is an amphitheater planned, a youth sports field house, a library and cultural center, a market hall, kind of Union Market style market hall. And we are working as quickly as we can on all of these projects. The Civic Plaza just happens to be the one that is the first one that we could get out of the gate. So it wasn't so much a choice, so much as we're working through being able to move forward on all of the projects. And this is the first one that was ready to go. So let's see, I'm scrolling through questions. Someone asked about the square footage of the plaza. I don't have that information off the top of my head, and I don't think I had anybody from our Office of Central Services sort of elevated as a panelist to be able to give me the answer. But we'll get the answer and include it as part of what we post following up. Let's see. Oh, someone said they missed my name and title. So I am Angie Rogers. I'm the Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for Economic Development for Prince George's County. So I lead the Economic Development Cluster and also lead the team that conceptualized the Blue Line Corridor plan and is meeting it forward. Bernadette, I am so sorry this isn't working out for you, but we will do everything that we can to make sure that the information that we've captured today during this meeting, both via the polls as well as via the question and answer section, that we are able to, that we post that, we include that as part of the information that we follow up with. All right. Okay. I think that I see the questions have slowed down in the chat. And so with that, then I will say that thank you all for tuning in with us tonight. Apologies for the technical difficulties with the chat function, and for some folks with the Q&A function. I again will encourage you all to tune into the mypgc.us/TOD page so that you can get more information about the Blue Line Corridor, but also the follow-up information from tonight. And we will likely also be sending out a follow-up survey to this meeting to get a little more feedback. I think there was one particular question that we missed, or someone asked, and we said we could follow up, and oh, it was the age of the participants of this meeting. So we'll do a follow-up survey to get some more demographic information and maybe other things. I see someone has their hand raised. Jose, you're gonna have to tell me whether participants can actually come off mute and speak.
Yes, we can do that.
Okay, we've got about 9 minutes left in this, so happy to have folks actually ask questions.
Sure. Yuri, you are allowed to ask your question. Can you hear us?
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, I'm not sure I still have a kind of a clear sense what the plaza will do to make someone get on the metro for a couple of stops, from Capitol Heights, let's say 3 stops, and then walk for up to 15 minutes one way to make it worthwhile to go there, right? I'm not entirely sure I get that sense that people are gonna want to do that kind of a trip to make this whole TOD development kind of tied together with this community event. So maybe if you can kind of unpack that a little bit more. Thank you.
Sure. I think, I'll say this, one of the main things for the Civic Plaza at the Wayne K. Curry building is about engagement in the downtown. And so I'll say that, people work in downtown Largo, people live in downtown Largo. And so part of our agenda is to, create a space that is engaging those folks. We moved the hospital to downtown Largo with 2,000 employees, and we've got to start creating some spaces for those folks to interact with. The other thing, though, is, part of the questions that we asked you all tonight was about how the space gets activated. And so maybe you wouldn't make a specific trip to the plaza just to hang out, but if there's a food truck festival, or if there was a live music, if there was someone put in the chat, like they'd love to see, like live music, like on the last Fridays of the month, if there was that kind of activity going on, then maybe you would get on take the metro a stop or two to come participate in an activity. When I was planning this session with our team internally, I was talking to them about my old job in DC, which was across the street from Freedom Plaza. And Freedom Plaza is maybe not kind of what I envisioned for our Civic Plaza in downtown Largo, but it is a place that engages lots of people in different ways. And one of the things that I would always love to walk out of my building and see all of the folks who would show up all wearing white doing hand dancing once a month in the spring to summer months. And those people probably live like all over the region, but they came to the hand dancing at Freedom Plaza once a month. So I think part of this will depend on how the plaza gets programmed. But just as a sort of passive everyday space, we're also looking for something that will be engaging for the thousands of people who now live and work in downtown Largo. Any
Thank you
other,
so
please
much.
raise your hand. Say that again. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, thank you so much. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
We've got about 5 more minutes. If anybody else wants to weigh in, please use the hand raising function and we can. All right, Josephine.
Josephine,
Hello.
you're clear. Go ahead.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. So I wanted to find out in terms of managing of programs, or choosing what kind of programs and activities would occur at the plaza. Is it going to be another administration within the economic development cluster, or it's going to be a private entity who would provide oversight of the programming, what comes in, what goes out, that kind of thing? I just wanted to know because I'm thinking of ways and means that we can really engage our youth so that they would have positive outcomes from this plaza. My heart goes out to the news that I hear every day and see. Like, I have this app that bombards me, and sometimes I cannot look at all of that. I look at it, but not really in detail because, it gets emotional because I'm a mother of three. So I'm thinking of how can we get it to be more like youth focused? Because the adults, we want to walk, we want to be happy, and it's fine. But at this point, I'm thinking of the next generation. For everything that we do, I think we have to focus
on the youth.
how we can engage them in a positive way. Thank you.
I hear you, and thank you for that. We have largely been thinking about this as something we would get a private operator for. I think, we do want to get a little bit down the line and sort of figure out what the design of it would be. We wanted to get feedback from you all. I think we saw loud and clear tonight that most folks are in favor of, a site that has some flexibility so that it can be activated with different activities, which takes us back to the concept of having a private operator who would be responsible for activating the site with activities that could, fit a range of different groups. And so thank you for your focus on youth, and even with the private operator, it will likely be, some entity from the economic development cluster that, would be overseeing that operator. But I think our intention would be to have someone who is focused on bringing the right type of programming to the space. All right. We are just about at time. And I want to say thank you all for tuning in to this meeting. There will be more of these as we push forward with our other Blue Line Corridor facilities, and some of them we decided to do this one as a virtual meeting and done by me and my team as we get into some of the facilities that are a little more complicated. We have feasibility study teams on deck who may be running some of those sessions. I think we'll get into maybe some more sessions that we have in person for some of these facilities. But thank you for tuning into our session on the Civic Plaza. We will continue to be in touch after this, and we look forward to your engagement on the other facilities as well. And with that, we will bid you good night.